Play with us, Luke.
Nah, you're alright.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Luke's Reviews, and on today's video I will be reviewing Dr. Sleep, but first there are a couple of things that I just want to let you guys know. Firstly, it's been over a year since I uploaded my first video onto YouTube. I remember sitting down in front of a camera recording my review for Bohemian Rhapsody. Now, this may only be a small channel, but I'm really proud of just how far the quality of my videos have come, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this channel can go in the future. So thank you everyone who has watched my videos and continue to support the channel. Now, secondly, you may notice that throughout the next few videos, and you know what, for that fact, for the whole of November, I may be getting a little hairier. No, I'm not in the middle of a midlife crisis. I'm taking part in No Shave November, which means that for the entirety of November, I don't shave. Creative title. But I'll give more information on that after the review. And now, on to Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to Stephen King's iconic The Shining. This time, the directorial reins have been handed over to Mike Flanagan, and features a cast of Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance, Rebecca Ferguson, and Kyliegh Curran. As I said, Dr. Sleep continues the story of Danny Torrance, whom we meet later in his life as he's living pretty much as bad as it can get. He's homeless, thieving what he can, and he's a serious alcoholic. However, he soon begins to get in contact with a 13-year-old girl called Abra, who shares something in common with Danny. They both shine. Amidst all this, a freaky vampiric cult are lurking that feast upon those that shine in an effort to live as long as possible. Now, before we get into my overall thoughts of the film, it's worth giving you guys some backstory between Stephen King's The Shining and Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. Stephen King released his novel The Shining in 1976. Stanley Kubrick then released his feature film adaptation of King's novel in 1980. However, King was not best pleased with Kubrick's work, as he felt like the film missed the mark entirely on what his novel was aiming for. King's novel is steeped in uncovering the supernatural aspect of the Overlook Hotel. Kubrick's film, however, whilst frequently indulging in the supernatural, chooses to focus on the psychological torment of one Jack Torrance, suggesting links between isolationism and the fragility of the mind. This leads over into Dr. Sleep, with director Mike Flanagan having to broker the peace between Stephen King and the Kubrick estate. Whilst Dr. Sleep was initially written as a sequel to King's novel, the film has to balance between both the novel and Kubrick's original film. And so, taking all of that into consideration, I think it's pretty much safe to say that Mike Flanagan did a freaking great job. Trying to compare this with Kubrick's film, it's just practically impossible. They are two very different beasts, and Dr. Sleep really takes that supernatural aspect, and it takes that aspect and it just runs with it. We delve more into the concept of the Shine, as well as being introduced to this cult, the Tied Knot, led by Rebecca Ferguson's Rose the Hat, that basically feed on kids' shine. But whilst it is different in terms of style and tone to the 1980s Shining, Mike Flanagan has really stepped into this world and made it his own. His creative stamp is plastered all over this film with some truly impressive and creative sequences. And as far as scares are concerned, it's really not that kind of horror. there isn't a jump scare waiting around every corner. In fact, I don't really think that there are that many jump scares in this film. Instead, the horror comes from the story, it comes from within the film. And that story quite frequently gets disturbing. There's a scene featuring Jacob Tremblay, who only appears for a very brief cameo. But that scene, honestly, might be one of the most disturbing scenes of the whole of 2019. Like, I genuinely felt uncomfortable watching that, and I've seen some horrifying things in my time. But whilst it may get dark and dreary, one thing that Dr. Sleep chooses to focus on that The Shining never really did is its characters, and it really begins to pick them apart and flesh them out. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, The Shining is a masterpiece. I think it is a horror classic, but in terms of character development, there isn't a whole lot. And here in Dr. Sleep, Danny is having to overcome not the demons that have haunted him from the past, but his own personal demons that he's having to deal with now, in the present. Abra is having to come to terms with her new powers, as well as the fact that there's a cult that's coming after her to kill her. And even the cult themselves feel like characters. They're fleshed out, and you understand their motivations. So much of this has to do with King and Flanagan's writing, but also the performances. Ewan McGregor is really good as Danny Torrance, but he's particularly impressive when he's having to overcome the demons that he's facing in his present, especially when he has to confront his past. And as for Kyliegh Curran, I'm fairly unfamiliar with her work, but she really impresses here and has to carry a lot of this film on her shoulders, which, considering this movie's almost 2.5 hours, and she's a fairly young actress, yeah, she's really, really good. There's some really great supporting performances from the likes of Cliff Curtis and Zahn McClarnon, but the scene stealer in this film is Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. My god, does she just chew this role up. She is loving every second, just being as nasty and evil as you could possibly imagine. This has blistering pace. I was never bored. In fact, from near enough the first scene, I was hooked, captivated, engaged. My attention didn't dwindle for a second. The cinematography is wonderfully creative and unique. It doesn't rely on some of the shots that Kubrick used. And the score also, it kind of borrows from the technique that Kubrick used in his film, where there isn't necessarily an orchestral score per se. It's mostly just noises that build and surround the action. And obviously you would have seen this in the trailers, but at a certain point in the film, we do revisit the Overlook, both in present and through past flashbacks. And I have to say, from a production perspective, I was blown away. The fact that they have been able to recreate sequences of Kubrick's, as well as just the Overlook Hotel in general, is beyond impressive. That being said though, and this is my only main critique with Dr. Sleep, because otherwise I think it's a fantastic movie, but my main critique in regards to these sequences is that when we meet a few familiar faces, it does feel a little like a group of people playing dress up. On the whole though, what Dr. Sleep felt like to me was that Mike Flanagan and Stephen King were left to their own devices and gave us one heck of a movie. As a huge fan of The Shining, it met a lot of my expectations, but at the same time, it flipped many of them on their head. Flanagan certifies himself as a masterful filmmaker. This was fantastic from start to finish. Overall, I'm going to give Dr. Sleep a 9.5 out of 10. Anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Dr. Sleep. Let me know what you thought of the film down in the comments below, as well as my question to you. Who is your favourite Stephen King character? And before you guys go, I just want to let you know about No Shave November. I'm going to be taking part in this. Basically, the premise is super simple. 1st of November, you shave your entire face, and you don't shave for the entirety of November. It's a fantastic activity devised by charity where all the money raised goes towards cancer prevention, research, education. Like I said, it's a fantastic cause, and look, I'm not going to start requesting donate below, but I will include a link to my donate page should any of you want to donate. Like I said, it goes to a fantastic cause. Any donation, no matter how small or large would be greatly appreciated. Anyway guys, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of this film down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. The links to all of my social media accounts are in the description below. Many thanks for watching guys, and I shall see you in the next video.